Welcome, Shadow Seekers, to American Shadows, Crimes and Chronicles. Today, we're unearthing a tale that'll haunt your thoughts long after it ends. Whether you're glued to the screen or just listening in, you're in for a wild ride through history's darkest corners. If you're new, hit subscribe to join our mission of exposing America's hidden truths. Regulars, your likes fuel our journey into the unknown. Now, let's peel back the layers of time and reveal the secrets beneath. Ready? Let's begin. From World's Fair to National Nightmare, the McKinley Assassination. Hello, friends, and welcome to American Shadows, Crimes and Chronicles. Today, we're traveling back to September 6th, 1901, a day that would forever change the course of American history. On this fateful afternoon, President William McKinley, the last president of the 19th century and the third to be assassinated, fell victim to an anarchist bullet at the Pan-American Exposition in Buffalo, New York. But before we dive into the events of that tragic day, I want to thank each and every one of you for your incredible support. Your likes, comments, and shares aren't just numbers to us. They're the lifeblood of this channel. You're doing an amazing job spreading the word about these important stories, and we couldn't be more grateful. What drives a man to attempt to kill the leader of a nation? How does a moment of celebration turn into a national tragedy? And why does this event from over a century ago continue to resonate in America's ongoing conversation about political violence and presidential security? To understand the significance of this day, we need to step back and look at the broader context of America at the turn of the century. William McKinley was presiding over a nation in transition. The United States was emerging as a world power, having recently won the Spanish-American War. The country was experiencing rapid industrialization and economic growth, but this progress came at a cost. The gap between the wealthy industrialists and the working class was widening, leading to social unrest and the rise of radical political ideologies. McKinley, elected in 1896 and re-elected in 1900, was a popular president known for his calm demeanor and dedication to the country. He had led the nation through economic challenges and war, and by 1901, he was a beloved figure for many Americans. However, his pro-business policies and imperialistic foreign policy had also made him a target for criticism, particularly from the growing anarchist movement. On that September day, McKinley was in Buffalo to celebrate the achievements of his country at the Pan-American Exposition, a world's fair designed to showcase the technological and cultural advancements of the Americas. The exposition itself was a symbol of American progress, featuring the latest inventions including electric lights, X-ray machines, and even an electric chair, a grim foreshadowing of events to come. Despite concerns from his secretary George Cortelyou, who had twice removed the meet-and-greet event from the president's schedule due to security concerns, McKinley insisted on connecting with the public. "Why should I?" he reportedly said. "No one would wish to hurt me." This accessibility, while admirable, would prove to be a fatal mistake. Among the crowd that day was Leon Czolgosz, a 28-year-old factory worker and self-proclaimed anarchist. Czolgosz had been radicalized by the anarchist movement, which had gained traction in response to the perceived injustices of industrial capitalism. He had been particularly inspired by Emma Goldman, a prominent anarchist speaker, though Goldman and other anarchist leaders would later denounce his actions. At 4:07 p.m., Czolgosz reached the front of the receiving line. As McKinley extended his hand in greeting, Czolgosz slapped it away and fired twice at point-blank range with a concealed .32 caliber Iver Johnson revolver. The aftermath was chaotic. McKinley was rushed to the exposition's emergency hospital, where doctors struggled to treat him with the limited medical knowledge of the time. Ironically, the newly invented X-ray machine on display at the exposition might have helped locate the bullet, but doctors were wary of using this unfamiliar technology. In the days following the shooting, the nation held its breath. Bulletins about McKinley's condition were eagerly awaited and scrutinized. Newspapers ran constant updates, and crowds gathered outside the Milburn House, where McKinley was taken to recover. The initial optimism gave way to growing dread as infection set in, highlighting the limitations of medical knowledge at the time. For a few days, it seemed McKinley might recover, but on September 14th, 8 days after the shooting, he succumbed to gangrene that had developed around his wounds. His last words were, "It is God's way. His will, not ours, be done." The nation was plunged into mourning. The assassination deeply shook the American public's sense of security and optimism. The idea that anyone, even the president, could fall victim to such violence in a public setting challenged the open and accessible nature of American democracy. This event, coming at the dawn of the new century, marked a turning point in how Americans viewed their leaders and their own safety in public spaces. Meanwhile, the wheels of justice turned swiftly for Leon Czolgosz. His trial began on September 23rd, just 9 days after McKinley's death, and lasted only 8 hours over 2 days. The jury deliberated for just 30 minutes before finding him guilty. Throughout the proceedings, Czolgosz showed no remorse, maintaining that he had done his duty as an anarchist. He was sentenced to death, and on October 29, 1901, only 45 days after his attack on McKinley, Czolgosz was executed by electric chair at Auburn Prison. The impact of McKinley's assassination was far-reaching. It led to increased protection for U.S. presidents, with the Secret Service taking on the role of presidential security in 1902. The event also contributed to a crackdown on anarchists and other political radicals in the United States, fueling debates about free speech and political dissent that continue to this day. Perhaps the most significant consequence was the ascension of Theodore Roosevelt to the presidency. At 42, Roosevelt became the youngest president in American history. His progressive policies would reshape American politics and society in the early 20th century, marking a departure from McKinley's more conservative approach. Under Roosevelt, the government took a more active role in regulating big business, conserving natural resources, and expanding American influence globally. The assassination of McKinley also marked a turning point in how Americans viewed their leaders. The idea of the president as an accessible public figure began to give way to a more security-conscious approach. This shift would continue throughout the 20th century, fundamentally changing the relationship between the president and the public. Could this tragedy have been avoided? In hindsight, several factors contributed to the success of Czolgosz's attack. The lack of rigorous security screening, McKinley's insistence on public accessibility, and the broader social tensions of the era all played a role. Improved security measures, better intelligence gathering on potential threats, and perhaps a more proactive approach to addressing social inequalities might have prevented this and similar acts of political violence. As we reflect on the events of September 6, 1901, we're left with profound questions about the nature of political violence, the security of our leaders, and the unforeseen ways in which history can turn on a single moment. How much has changed in our political discourse since McKinley's time? Are our leaders any safer today? And how do we balance the accessibility of our elected officials with their security? This is American Shadows, where we peer into the darker corners of our nation's past. Until next time, remember that history isn't just a collection of dates and names. It's a living thing that continues to shape our world today. The echoes of that September day in 1901 continue to resonate, reminding us of the fragility of life, the enduring strength of our democratic institutions, and the ongoing challenge of balancing security with openness in a free society. Stay curious, stay compassionate, and keep watching American Shadows. For in understanding our past, we gain insights that can help us navigate the complex political landscape of our present and future. And once again, thank you for your incredible support. Your engagement is what makes these stories come alive.